Good morning, Gabby. Here's your machine, the Breville Barista Express BES870 in silver. So as you saw in the photos, the machine is in good condition, I would say. It's well taken care of, apart from a couple small dents around here, but they're not too bad. And all around the machine is pretty good, I would say. Just finished doing the cleaning cycle, descaling cycle, grinder realignment, and the machine has absolutely no issues. It's ready to go. And in this video, I'm going to be making my morning latte. So we'll be doing a double shot espresso and frothing some milk to demonstrate the machine and teach you a couple tips and tricks along the way. So when you first turn on the machine, it will take about a minute to turn on and warm up. You'll see the buttons this button flashing, and then when they are all on, that means it's hot and ready to go. You can keep it for another 20 minutes for other things to warm up. For example, the top lid will get warm, the grip head, the handle. So that'll take a few minutes to get up to temperature, whereas the boiler will go in a minute. But if you want to warm things up really quickly, you can just run a blank shot. So I'll be doing that in a second. A blank shot is just running some hot water through the system, mainly to warm up the grip head, handle, and cup. So let's do that now. Just making sure the grip head is nice and clean, and it is. Yeah, so just a blank shot. You can put on the handle. You can do this, the double. You can do that once or twice. It's up to you. So that's the factory programming for the double shot. Of course, you can change the length of that button. You can change the length of both buttons actually. And you can even brew manually if you wanted to experiment. We'll do that again. Perfect. Now that things are nice and hot, I'm gonna take out my cup, put it aside, take out the portafilter. Make sure you dry your portafilter before grinding into it. So like I said, this is the double basket, and your machine comes with 4 types of baskets. This is the single wall double variety, the single wall double basket. You have sort of 2 sets or 2 pairs. The single wall, which is only 1 layer underneath, it's kind of hard to remove, and you have the dual wall, the double wall pressurized baskets. Those ones are for pre-ground coffee. Those ones will have the word dual wall underneath, written underneath the basket. So using the grinder, I'm going to use the single wall variety every time, and if I'm using pre-ground beans, I'm going to use the dual wall. Anyway, I've got a scale here. I recommend you get a scale just to make your coffee more consistent and dial it in just right. So I have a scale here, and I'm going to reset it to 0 so that we can measure the output of both the ground coffee and the liquid espresso that we get when we're brewing. At the moment, the machine is on grind size number 3. So this is the grind size dial over here. That will change how coarse or how fine your coffee is. You want to change this based on the speed of your coffee. So if you notice your coffee coming out really quick, that's because the grind size is slightly too coarse. If the coffee comes out very slow, that's probably a very fine grind size. So that's how you adjust it. At the moment, it's at number 3, which is on the finer side of things, based on the texture of the coffee. But the only way to know if it's the right grind size is to actually make a coffee on it. But yeah, it looks fairly fine. So in the right ballpark, I would say. We're very close already. Here you have the grind amount, and the grind amount is how long the grinder will grind for, or pretty much how much the grinder will grind for you. So I'm going to set it to a setting that gives you about 9 grams for a single. If you do it twice, that's 18 grams. You know, this is the double and this stays 18 grams of ground coffee. So let's try the settings as is. Number 3 and at 12 o'clock. Take your time, that's fine. That's fine. And you've got the single and you've got the double. For my preferences, I like to keep it on single and do it twice. I just find it's less messy that way.
Yeah, that's cool. All good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go come back. Do you need anything?
No, that's all good. Thank you. So that's the first dose. So that was 7 grams. We'll increase it a touch. Let's do 3 o'clock. Hopefully 3 o'clock will give us closer to our grind size. 9 grams. You can manually grind, and you can do that by holding the button. That's just to top up the ground coffee. Yeah, that's more like it. That's almost 9 grams. Perfect. Okay, so after I get my first dose, I'm gonna tap it down. Then I'm gonna do it again. That's my second dose. Let's see. That was 8.5. So based on these settings, maybe the 4 o'clock position, it's probably gonna give you 9 grams per click. So if you do it twice, it's 18 grams. At the moment, it's at 17.5, and I think that's fine. We can keep it there. It is on the finer side of things, like I said, so we might get high pressures and a slow output, but I'm not exactly sure. We'll have to give it a try. Make sure when you tamp nice and firm and even on all sides, and you don't want it to be wonky or higher on one side. And if you don't have a scale or if you're in a hurry, you can just look at, so you can tamp your coffee and then look at the height or the depth of the tamper when you tamp. So I'm tamping, I can't press it any deeper. It only goes as deep as the silver part of the tamper. So that's a good indication that I have about the right amount of coffee. If it goes this deep. If it goes too deep or too shallow, that's the wrong amount of coffee. You want to clean the edges and lock it in. I'm going to lock it into 6 o'clock. You don't have to push it all the way to the right. So at 6 o'clock, that center position should be more than enough, especially as the group head seal is still in good condition. So just in the middle. You don't have to force it. If it's tight, keep it there. If you notice it's too hard to put on, that's probably because you have too much coffee. So reduce your dose in that case. Okay, so that's the ground coffee prepared. Let's actually make the coffee. Oh, I almost forgot. There's also a hot water tap here. If you wanted to add hot water for like a long black coffee, Americano, tea, whatever you want the hot water for, you can use that over here. I like to add it just before my shots. Every time I'm adding sugar or syrup, I find it helps it dissolve better. Just a little bit, not too much. Okay, I'm going to use the scale once more this time to measure the output. So the output for coffee, for espresso, usually is a 2-to-1 ratio. For every gram of ground coffee, we want 2 grams of liquid espresso. We put in 18, we want 36 out. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to aim for 36. Hopefully that will give us a good tasting shot. and we want that 36 grams to come out in between 20 to 30 seconds from the time of the button press. You know, honestly, you don't have to be too focused on the numbers. What matters most is the taste, and all these numbers are aiming for is a good taste. So, yeah, you don't have to be perfect, it just has to be close enough. I'm going to press the program button to change one of the button's length for you. So let's program the double and show you how it's done. To give us a 36 gram output. Two things you want to pay attention to when you're making the coffee: the pressure gauge. You want it to be between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. That's the optimal range I find. And the flow, you want it to be nice and smooth and, you know, not too quick. If it's too quick, like a black river coming out of the spouts, that's too quick. If it's only drops, very slow drops coming out of the spouts, that's too slow. So program, then you press the button you want to program. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. It's slower than I was expecting, but let's see if we can still get some decent output. So we're at 30 seconds already, and the output is slow. So I think I'll increase the grind size from 3 to a 5. Hopefully that will be better. Yeah, number 3 was too fine. Yeah, so that's 45 seconds. I'm going to turn it off. Yeah, that looks like about 36 grams. Let's see. Yeah, 36.3. I kid you not. Anyway, that's a perfect 2-to-1 ratio, I would say, but the timing was slow, so it took 55 seconds to reach that double dose, which is fairly slow, I would say. Usually I aim for, like I said, 20 to 30 seconds. So what we're going to do is, like I said, change the grind size from 3 to 5. Hopefully number 5 would be better for you. I will try this again, and if I get my double dose in between 20 to 30 seconds, that's perfect. If it takes longer than 30, by a lot, I would make it coarser by 1 number. If it's quicker than 20 seconds, I would make it it's finer to slow it down. Yeah, so that's my espresso shot done. Let's do the milk now. So with the steaming the milk, you're gonna turn on the frother. It'll take about 10-15 seconds to start actually steaming. I'm gonna fill my milk jug halfway with milk, cold milk preferably. I'm gonna turn it off, turn it back on. Put the jug at an angle, keep the steam on close to the edge of the jug and the tip close to the surface of the milk. You want to listen to the sound. That's the sound you want to be hearing. That means you're injecting air into the milk. And you want to spin it in a vortex to help mix it up. I'm going to stop when it's too hot to touch. So right about there, it's about 55 degrees. Very important, when you're done, take it out and purge. And then if you wait 5 seconds, it'll cool down and it'll go back to espresso mode. Also very important is to wipe the wand straight away. You don't want it to sit there with the milk on it. Of course it gets really hot and the milk will, you know, bake on it and it'll dry really quickly. So you want to clean it as soon as you can. The sooner the easier it is to clean. So all the nooks and crannies underneath from the back. And all the way to the top. Yeah, that's the milk done. I'm not gonna let it sit for too long. I'm just gonna quickly clean the machine. So you want to knock off the portafilter to remove obviously the old coffee, and you want to run a blank shot just to rinse the shower screen and the portafilter. Just really quickly to remove any coffee grounds and oils. Should be enough. And maybe once every other day or every week, grab a tissue or a cloth or the brush actually, and brush off the grip head seal to keep it nice and clean. Yeah, that's all you need to do to make a coffee on your Breville Barista Express. Let's pour the milk and see what we do. Knock your jug on the counter just to break any air bubbles in the milk. Then swirl it around to mix it up, give it that smooth texture. Do this a couple times until the texture on top is like wet paint, very smooth, silky. And then pour. Yeah, so that's a latte on the Breville Barista Express. Let me show you the final result. Very nice. And with some practice, you can easily do a latte art on this machine. I'm sure you'll love it. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.